All right, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for being here. Really excited to get the 2020 season underway with the kickoff of spring practice. Looking forward to being able to talk to you a lot more as well. Excited for this season. Again, not an extension of one season, but it is a brand new season, which creates its own challenges and opportunities and situations that we look forward to attacking head on. I want to start by just congratulating our four guys who represent the Minnesota Golden Gophers at the NFL Combine this past weekend, and I hope all of you stayed tuned to that because they had some incredible performances. I know Kamal and Ty didn't do every event, but when you look at the other guys of what they were able to accomplish and how fast they were able to run, and all the reports I get back of how they handled themselves and represented Gopher Football and the state of Minnesota in a first-class fashion. Very proud of those guys and look forward to those guys being alum and then also coming back, but also springboarding their careers into the National Football League. Excited about the competition battles we have in spring. You're probably going to ask about a lot of starters. Just remember, starters aren't necessarily named in the spring, but the first team reps are given out. And I think that's really critical as you keep moving forward, is they're not necessarily named starters in March. I think every team we've had has been able to earn that opportunity. They've earned the right to be with the first team. Now they've got to go win the starting job. We want competition within our program, and we'll continue to build that. And I know our first team guys wouldn't expect anything less and don't want anything else. They want competition. They want guys coming in here that are going to push them and make them better. But again, keeping within that compete with, not necessarily compete against each other. Really excited about the incoming guys we have coming in this class. We are very excited about some of them joining us already, which I think some of those freshmen are going to be able to help us based on what we've seen so far. But we also still have that roster flexibility as of right now to possibly add a transfer, a grad transfer later on as we continue to move. So we're excited about where we're at. I asked Garrett Chernoff what the most exciting part of spring ball coming up is for him. He said, I want to find out what kind of punter we got. So everybody's going to see what Crawford's like, and I'm excited too because I haven't seen him punt live, so I'm excited to see him too. So I'm not sure when the last time the punter was the first opening. It was in the first sentence of the first paragraph in terms of the opening press conference of spring, but it is now because if you love the Australian accent, this guy, you're going to spend a lot of time with this young man. And I do, so I spend a lot of time with him now, more probably than I spent with any other punter who hasn't punted. So looking forward to it. With that, we'll open up for questions.
PJ, how much of a competition is it going to be between Zach and Tanner, considering where they started last year and then the year that Tanner had?
Well, again, I think, first of all, I think Tanner Morgan's earned the first team reps, period, right, in terms of the spring. And I think if you ask Tanner, if you ask Zach, if you ask Cole, if you ask Jacob, they all want an opportunity. And everybody's going to get an opportunity. I think that's what this program's about. But I think when you look at what Tanner has done and the body of work over a period of time and what he's done for this institution, what he's done for the football program, what he does in the leadership role that he has, he's earned the first team reps in the spring. And I think if you ask Tanner Morgan, as humble of a kid he is, are you the starter? He's going to say, I got to go earn it. And I wouldn't have it any other way. But it's going to be a very competitive spring, and we want it to be that way because the great thing about it is I know what they can do. But now we have an offensive coordinator who gets to coach them and teach them for the first time and gets to see their strengths and gets to see their abilities to be able to grow on. And I think that's really critical for our spring is to get Coach Sanford familiar with all of them. He's been able to work here and there on some techniques and fundamentals, but to really dive into the quarterback position in terms of playing the game, I'm really excited about that.
What's your mantra going to be this year? You've had the race to maturity. Now you've got a top 10 team. What's it going to be to keep them there or expand from there?
Yeah, well, there's a few, right? Because you know how it is. One has to do with the house. One has to do with the theme, right? So this year's Grow Higher, and we're talking using bamboo, which I've used in the past. And when you talk about bamboo, it takes 3 years to build underground by the time bamboo actually shoots up to the top. So in year 4, that's when you see it shoot 90 to 110 feet in the air. And we have the ability to do whatever we want to be able to do and whatever we're going to pay the price for. So we talked about this Grow Higher and use this bamboo tree in this theme. So you're going to see bamboo trees everywhere. And then we talk about building the house, and this is year 4, so we're installing the windows. And, it's amazing because before our team meeting in January, our players came in and asked me, Coach, we've been taking bets with each other of what you're actually going to have with building the house. So it matters to them because they're actually talking about it. But it's the window part. And why the windows is because now the framework's up, so we're installing these windows. And the wonderful thing about a window is you can look out and see whatever you want to see. All right? You can notice the birds, the sun, the clouds, the sky, but you can see whatever you decide to see. So whatever we want to decide to see, we can do that. However, different from last year, which we didn't have any windows, we were picked 6 in the West. That probably won't happen this year. So now we have windows that the outside world wants to peek in and see and study and know what we're doing inside our house. So we got people looking inside our house now, and we've got to be ready for all of that, and we've got to be 2 steps ahead. And that's about finding a way to continue to change our best and doing things better for longer. Last year was smarter, not harder. Now we're still smarter, not harder, but now we're going to do it better for longer. And, we don't have a bye week until week 11. And our spring practice got smushed down into about a 4.5-week period for a reason. We wanted to make sure that we can simulate our season the best we possibly can. So those are the themes, the process, and the how for the year so far.
In reflection of last season, we kept hearing about January, how you guys knew what a special team you had in January and in spring football, maybe before everyone else did. I'm curious, going into this year, do you have that same feeling, or is it a different feeling, or how, I guess, do you know, when you have something special with the team?
Well, I think I truly believe we still have something really special, back in January of last year, we still had plenty of questions. It was based on, we know what we can accomplish if we do X, Y, and Z, and we do it consistently, and we do it smarter, not harder. I feel the same way about this football team of what we can accomplish, but it's got to be done a little bit different of a way. We're not just building the framework to be noticed. We're putting the windows in, and we're not necessarily just a race to maturity or anything like that. We have to find a way to go from where we were at 11 wins, not just the number, but everybody's perception of that, and we've got to go higher than that. And we've got to find a way to be able, those small integral details, those fundamentals, the difference is going to be in those small little things that we weren't able to do this year to finish the job. And that's what's going to be really highlighted this year. But this is, again, special group of young men, people. Forget the football aside. It's a special group of men with different challenges than we had last year. But those are challenges, situations which create opportunity. And, we have a lot of answers on offense, which last year we didn't have as many answers. We had more answers on defense. Now we have a little bit more questions on defense and more answers on offense. And that's the fun of every season that comes, is you never really have it all the way across the board. You're constantly balancing, developing, and moving as you go forward.
What are the particular challenges then of external expectations, which maybe you didn't start out last year with? You have internal expectations, but external expectations, these guys are going to hear this is a team that should do something versus...
Well, I think what they learned from last year, the external expectations, if you listen to those, then you're going to finish 6th in the West when you're supposed to finish tied for 1st. So the external expectations, with all due respect, those don't matter internally to our football program. We have to keep them aware of those things, because when they leave our walls, they're going to hear those things. They're going to hear that they're going to see that on their social media. They're going to see that on their phone. Their family members are going to be talking about it. The media is going to be talking about it. So again, we're an internal program. We want to take things internally and then process the external from what we learn internally, not let the external affect our internal. Our internal's got to be more powerful. And that's what we continue to, that's why we do what we do in terms of our themes and where we are and where we're headed and what our own expectation is of ourselves. But if we compare this year to last year, just as we say, comparison steal your joy, if we compare this year to last year, anybody's going to find a way, somehow, some way, some statistic, wins, losses, or any statistic known to man of where we didn't measure up, and it could be a failure. We're not going to allow that to happen. We've got to continue to find a way to change our best, be better today than we were yesterday, and continue to keep in that one day, 1-0 type mentality, even through the offseason, which we will.
Well, PJ, when you got a new offensive coordinator and a lot of stuff worked last year under your offensive system, where do you interject? If he says, I like that, but I like kicker, do you get more involved to let him know, hey, stick to what worked, or how much latitude does he get when you have something that's kind of going in the right direction?
Well, I kind of compare it to I have kids, and some of them like to use the bumper lanes, and some of them don't, right? Our 6-year-old hates the bumper lanes. She would rather throw a gutter and deal with it, right, than actually have it bump and kind of not count, but kind of count it because she had help. But I would consider it almost somewhat half-deflated bumper lanes, where sometimes it'll be able to go in there and, bounce it back on track, and there's some things we probably won't do. But it is Mike Sanford's offense and Matt Simon's offense, and I want to make sure that's very clear. We have a certain system. It's the same system when we were 1-11 at Western Michigan and 5-7 here, that we were 13-0 and 11 wins. It's the same thing. People win. The right people within the right system win. And so we're going to stay to that motto. And we continue to bring in the right recruits, the right players, develop them from the ground up to be better people, and then have our system stay consistent. That doesn't mean that we're not going to have certain changes here and there. We need to keep evolving. We evolved last year from the year before, and the year before from the year before. We want to constantly evolve. But at the end of the day, our system, our systematic belief system, our approach will be the same. And that's why I hired Mike, is because Matt, myself, and Mike all share a lot of the same values. This wasn't an interview with Mike Sanford without me knowing him. I've wanted to hire him the last 5 or 6 years. Just never had the opportunity to do that. We've talked tremendously over and over and over and thoroughly about offensive play. And I think that's important when you're going to hire somebody that you already know the fit. This isn't an experiment. And all of a sudden you get there and you're like, oh boy, this guy's in 5 wide the entire time, right? That's not what this is. He knew exactly what he's getting himself into in terms of the actual offensive philosophy because it matches.
When it comes to grad transfers, you guys hit on Ben St. Just later on in the cycle. How many guys do you think you could bring in, and what needs do you have, do you think?
Well, we're flexible right now, but again, it's got to be the right fit. And everything that we do, decision-making, especially with players we bring in, we do everything we can. You're not always perfect to make sure it's the right fit. And especially when you're bringing in transfers that might only have 1 year or have to sit the first year with the new rules coming, that might have to sit, might not, no matter what year they are, no matter if they've graduated or not. But we want to find the right fit, and that's what we're going to continue to search for. And we have the roster flexibility to do it, so we're open to it.
What excites you about Chad Wilt and what he's going to bring to the defensive line?
You know, I've interviewed a lot of people in my career as a head football coach, and I haven't had an interview like that before. And Joe Rossi was interviewing him with me, and we interviewed 10 defensive line coaches around there, and we all did it in the same day. And I love that. Just go, right? Because then you really get to compare apples to apples. And the one thing about Coach Wilt was he's the son of a coach. And you could tell the minute he walked in there, just with his presence. Not only that, he played the position. Not only that, he was an All-American at the position. Not only that, he's one of the best teachers I've ever been around, one of the best educators. Everything he did stimulated us in terms of whatever he was talking about. He had a systematic approach of talking about it, teaching it step by step. And I got everything he said. Over the hours he was in there, I could recite it all back to you. And I think that's a sign of a really good teacher and a really good coach. And I know Coach Fickle didn't want to lose him. But those are one of the hard calls you have to make. And like people call me and take guys off our staff. And that was a hard conversation because I know how good he was. And I know the value he has with what they've done at Cincinnati. But I'm really glad he's with us now because he's a special hire. A truly special hire. And I mean that with everybody we hired. Mike Sanford, special hire. Paul Haynes. I mean, we get a guy that has been a head football coach that I got to coach against as a head coach. And I worked for Paul Haynes my first year in coaching at Ohio State. And I got a chance to be around him and watch his energy. And never did in a million years that I think I'd be able to hire a guy like that. And here he is. So I'm thankful for what happened and how late the process was and how late the decision was to be made at that other school. And I'm really excited about him being here. And his wife, Danita, and their children, we're so excited to have them as well. We are with Anne Marie and bringing the Sanford family here. I think this is the best staff I've had. And I've told them that. I've told them that to all their faces in our staff meetings. This is the best I've had. Not just me, as they're my staff, but as a head football coach in terms of our group together as a team for each other. I haven't seen a room better than this, and I'm really excited to get working with them.
Losing a lot of experience in the front seven. Who are some of the guys that you're excited to watch unfold here over the next couple of years?
You know, it's going to be interesting. I'm really excited for Boye Mafe. There's an opportunity that you lose a guy like Carter Coughlin. Everybody's like, well, what are you going to do without Carter? I mean, Boye Mafe just vertical jump 40 inches, right? I'm talking about a defensive end doing that. He's one of the faster guys on our football team in general. He's twitched up. And sometimes you need a guy to graduate to really see the potential of somebody else. And I think that's perfect what Boye is going through. Perfect explanation because we've seen more leadership from him. We've seen more excitement. We've seen more productivity in 2 months than we had when he was number 2. So I think a guy like him, a guy like Braylon Oliver and Mariano Sori-Marin, a lot of people forget, we didn't have Kamal in some of the biggest games last year. And Mariano went in there and did the job and helped us win the football game. And he has taken on a complete different leadership role. It's going to be not necessarily on the defensive side of being able to fill the skill. It's more the talent of leadership that we had. We've got to fill that void. And these guys have done that in 2 months. They got a long way to go, but they're learning how to do it, which gives us the best chance possible. And then on the back end, a guy like Tyler Nubin, a guy like that's going to be able to step in. You're never going to be able to just replace Antoine Winfield Jr., but we hope as a defense that what we can be, instead of some of these names as individuals, we can be better with the sum of all parts. And as a team, we can be better on defense. And that's what we're working towards. A guy like Big O has got to really step forward at 5 technique. And when you look at what Winston did at 250 pounds soaking wet at a 5 technique compared to what a 275, 280-pound, Assezi can do, he's just now got to be able to take the next right step. And that's his development over the course of this offseason. It does not happen overnight, but we need that to be able to happen.
When you're out recruiting in the public since last season ended, have you noticed more just excitement, interest in the program just pick up since?
Yeah, it kind of has that facility answer. When you win games, I don't necessarily think it changes the level of where you go in recruiting. I don't want it to. What I want it to do is to be able to get all the kids we truly fit with and need. Right? Because we're not going to change our recruiting philosophy. We're not going to change on who fits us. We're not going to change on, who fits academically, athletically, socially, spiritually with this row the boat culture. We're not going to change that. But what it does is it brings a little bit more validity to what you're doing and how you're doing it. And I think with our program and our culture, based on where we've been and the jobs we've had, people are always waiting for that validation. But this is not an end-all be-all. This is not like, well, that's the best we can possibly do over the next 20 years. That's not. That's not how I think, and that's not how I want the players thinking coming into this program or who are in this program, as well as coaches. So what it does, though, is it gives us a little bit better of a little bit more of a chance to be able to hold on to the ones we really, really need. And that's what we're going to continue to do. But we're not going to get into this, we get a different caliber of an athlete. Because, again, that's the skill. Sure, we want better skill, sure, but we can't compromise the talent for that. We can't compromise their heart, their spirit, their unconquerable will, their ability to be a teammate, value their entire life in all 4 areas. We're not going to devalue that. That's got to match, and then we can have something really special.
At the end of the year, you didn't have Lele or Paulson or Cam. Are those guys back cleared to play in spring, or are there other guys that will be limited?
Yeah, just a few guys that won't be back just yet. Paulson won't be involved in spring practice. In terms of he won't be cleared by the end of spring practice. He'll be involved in it with individual drills, as well as some others for the first week. We'll have some guys involved in Indy only, and then once we come back from spring break, they'll be back into full go. Lele's now back, and so we're excited about him getting back in the swing of things. I thought Mike Sipniak, our head trainer, we have really special people here, and it's not just the people I get to hire. I thought Mark Coyle and the administration did a great job hiring Mike Sipniak and Arnold Reinberger of what they've been able to do just with, I think part of the training room is believability, is having that confidence you can go to your trainer and say what's wrong and having them to be able to care about you as a person and medically care about you, not about catches and yards and blocks. And I think Mike Sipniak's the best in the country at that, of being able to have great balance and his welfare is always for those student athletes. And it's fun to be able to work with him every single day and watch what he's done to get our players to where they are the right way. Not rushed, not late. We're exactly where they should be. And it's fun to be able to work with people like that. And that's why we're getting all these guys back for spring practice and being able to get them, whether they can do a little bit or a lot. We're glad we have them doing some things.
One more for Coach? No? Okay.
Appreciate it. Row the boat, Sky Go Gophers. Thanks, everybody.